Some people had a problem with the fact that I used the terms acting black and acting white in my last video. Well, I would like to clarify what I mean and what is generally meant when somebody says somebody is talking white or talking black or acting black. And it kills me to death, that's redundant right there. It kills me when people act like they don't know what it means by acting black or acting white, especially when they're wiggers. Like you'll have a wigger object to something and say, how do you act a color? And I just look at them, I'm just like, whatever, my wigger. Or you'll have people like Real Black One making a video, there is no such thing as acting black or acting white, but then he goes and uses the terms in the video. Okay, exactly what do you mean by you don't believe in it if you're using the terms? In what sense are you not believing in it? It's the same shit as like when people say, well, I don't believe in good hair and bad hair, but then they'll look at somebody and say, well, she has so-called good hair, or she has what people would say is good hair. That's still calling it good hair. Just because you put them little qualifiers or do the Brian White and, attribute it to somebody else, you're still saying they have good hair. But anyway, so most of the people who object to using the terms acting black or acting white, they understand exactly what you mean. They're just being PC. Let's get into this. First of all, when you say something like acting black, that does not mean that every black person acts like that. What it does mean is that most people who do act a certain way tend to be black. It's just like with one of the YouTubers I'm subscribed to, and his name is Prof MTH, and he is gay. Someone either left a comment on his video or sent him a private message telling him that he didn't sound gay. So then Prof MTH makes a whole video saying like, well, what do you mean? What do you mean by sounding gay? And I respect Prof MTH, I love his videos, but he knew damn well what they meant by quote-unquote sounding gay. You know, that lispy, stereotypical, fabulous voice. Now, of course not all gay men have that voice, but most people who do have that voice are gay men. Therefore, that is a gay sound. And yes, there are some men who are not gay who have that voice, but again, most people who do have it tend to be gay. One video topic that most of the time I absolutely hate it when black people make is the video where they come on camera and say, well, people always say I act white or I talk white, and why do you think that I talk white? Because I talk proper? No. And you just dissed black people. They're probably talking about your word choice, the way you pronounce the word, or the way you said it. For example, you could say, hey dude, that was fucking awesome, man. Or you could say, hey dude, that was fucking awesome, man. Now, I said the exact same thing both times, and you can't say that one was more or less grammatically correct. However, the pronunciation of the words and the way that I said it changed. Now, one of those ways would more likely be a black person, and the other one would more likely be a white person. I'll do one more. That right there is my baby's daddy. That right there is my baby's daddy. Again, I said the exact same thing. You can't say one was grammatically incorrect and one was correct. However, the pronunciation changed. There are a lot of black people out there who speak perfectly good English, but because of the way they pronounce their words and the emphasis they choose to put on certain words, you can tell that they're black. And also a lot of times you can tell by the timbre in the voice. Listen to Pastor or Reverend, whatever he calls himself, Creflo Dollar. He speaks very good English, and sometimes he'll say everybody or something just for emphasis, but he knows how to speak correctly. But you can tell that's a black man. You can even throw Martin Luther King up in that. You would never think that was a white man, and he was not busting up nouns and verbs. So, if you're a black person, you say, oh my God, and people say you sound white, it's not because you said it properly, it's because you said, oh my God. Because I could say, oh my God, and nobody's going to accuse me of sounding white. So perhaps it's that you pronounce your words in a way that white people typically do and black people typically don't. And it doesn't mean that all white people talk like that or no black people talk like that. We're talking about percentages and majorities here. And for the record, especially in the South where I come from, there are a lot of poor white people who do not speak correctly, but you can tell they're white because of their voice, the way it sounds, and because of the way they pronounce their words. That girl ain't got good common sense. She come over here the other day and her baby ain't even have no diapers on. Okay, that is so not proper English, and that so does not sound like a black person. Does that mean that there are no black people on the face of this earth that sound like that? No, but most of them who do sound like that are white. So black people, y'all need to stop making these videos. Why do you think I sound white? Is it because I'm proper? No, I bet you they're probably talking about the way you pronounce. And if black people and white people don't generally speak differently, then a lot of black comedians would lose like half of their act. Next point, a lot of people were coming back with things like, well, white people invented this. If I use that, am I trying to be white? And they were saying that in response to me saying that those Asian girls were quote-unquote acting black. Alright, here's the difference between just using something that another group of people invented and actually imitating them. A few years ago, and it probably still is on the market, I don't know, George Foreman came out with a grill. Now, I know he did not invent the grill, but let's just pretend like he did. Now, if you go buy that grill, are you trying to be like George Foreman? Probably not. You probably think the grill is cool, you think it would make your life easier, you enjoy grilled food, all that stuff, but trying to be like George Foreman? Not really. But if a person puts on a red jacket and a glove and starts doing the moonwalk, yes, they are trying to be like Michael Jackson. He is the gauge for if you're doing it properly. So the more you look like him when you're doing it, the more correct you're doing it. It's not like when you're using George Foreman's grill that you're going to be trying to stand like him or talk like him or something. You acting like him does not make your grilling more correct. Knowing when to flip your meat and when to take it off the grill, that's grilling correctly. So all you black people saying, well, I like to skateboard, does that mean I'm acting white? Well, you tell me. When you're skating, are you trying to look white or are you trying to do the moves correctly so you don't fall and bust your ass? If you go eat some Chinese food, are you trying to look Chinese or are you trying to eat some food? Now, someone left a comment on my video and they stated it perfectly, so I'm going to give them credit. Antonio, and he had some numbers behind his name, which I can't remember. But anyway, he said that black behavior was the blueprint for hip-hop music. And again, that doesn't mean all black people act a certain way. But anyway, the way we move was infused into hip-hop. The way we talk was infused into hip-hop. Therefore, we are the standard for doing hip-hop correctly. And I know some of you are thinking, well, what do you mean we? Because you don't talk like that. Well, whatever. But what I'm saying is, most of the people who do talk like that are black. Hello? I mean, are you like totally insane or what? Those Asian girls were purposefully trying to move and act like black women. A white person may have invented the automobile, but I don't need to act white to drive one. Or should I say, I don't need to imitate white people to drive one correctly. I could act like Snoop Doggy Dogg and still drive a car. I could act like Snoop Doggy Dogg and skateboard, ski, skydive, and whatever other sport has been deemed not black. In fact, a lot of times when I see a black guy who skis or skateboards or does stuff like that, he'll do it, but he'll still put his own little black guy personality into it. So anyway, I think I hit every point I meant to hit. All you people out there saying, well, there's no such thing as acting black or white. You know what people mean when they say that, so stop playing and stop just being PC.